October 9th, 2020. A Texas state trooper pulls over a vehicle near DeKalb, Texas. Erratic driving, speeding. The driver, a 27-year-old woman named Taylor Parker, tells the officer something that stops him cold. She says she just gave birth on the side of the road. In the back seat, a newborn baby, not breathing. Both are rushed to a hospital in Oklahoma. And that is where the lie, 11 months in the making, finally falls apart. Reagan Simmons-Hancock was 21 years old. She lived in New Boston, Texas, a small town near the Oklahoma and Arkansas borders. She was a young mother. Her first daughter, Kinley, was 3 years old and adored her. She was 36 weeks pregnant with her second child, a girl she and her husband Homer had already named Braxlynn Sage. Her mother, Jessica Brooks, described her as having the biggest heart of anyone she had ever known, sweet as sugar one minute, full of spirit the next. She was the best mama Jessica had ever seen. Reagan had her whole life ahead of her. She had no idea that the woman she trusted to photograph her wedding was planning something unthinkable. Taylor Renee Parker was 27 years old. On the surface, a local photographer, a girlfriend, a soon-to-be mother. Except she wasn't. Years earlier, after complications from an ectopic pregnancy, Taylor Parker had undergone a hysterectomy. She was medically unable to have children. But she told her boyfriend, Wade Griffin, that she was pregnant. She told her friends, her family, her community. She faked a gender reveal. She accepted congratulations. She let people believe she was building a new life. For 11 months, she maintained the lie. And as her due date approached, the lie was about to unravel. Taylor Parker needed a baby, and she knew exactly where to find one. Taylor Parker had photographed Reagan's engagement. She had photographed Reagan's wedding. She had stood beside Reagan on some of the happiest days of her life, camera in hand, smiling. Reagan trusted her. That trust became the weapon. By October 2020, Reagan was in the final weeks of her pregnancy. Braxlynn was almost here, and Taylor Parker had a plan. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody was supposed to. On the morning of October 9th, 2020, Taylor Parker went to Reagan Simmons-Hancock's home in New Boston. What happened inside that house was almost too brutal to describe. Reagan was beaten with a hammer. She was stabbed and slashed more than 100 times. And then, Taylor Parker cut Braxlynn from her womb. Reagan's 3-year-old daughter Kinley was in the home during the attack. She was not physically harmed, but she was there. Reagan Simmons-Hancock was pronounced dead at the scene. She was 21 years old, 36 weeks pregnant. She never got to hold her daughter. Taylor Parker fled toward Oklahoma with Braxlynn. Hours later, a Texas state trooper pulled her over near DeKalb for erratic driving. She told him she had just given birth on the side of the road. Both Parker and Braxlynn were rushed to a hospital in Idabel, Oklahoma. Braxlynn Sage Hancock was pronounced dead. At the hospital, medical staff examined Taylor Parker. She showed no signs of having recently given birth. And then they confirmed something that changed everything. Taylor Parker had no uterus. She had undergone a hysterectomy years earlier. It was biologically impossible for her to have carried a child. DNA testing confirmed what everyone already knew. Braxlynn was not her daughter. Braxlynn was Reagan's. Taylor Parker was arrested that same day. The lie was over, but Reagan was gone. Taylor Parker's trial began in 2022. 142 witnesses testified over 25 days. The prosecution charged her with capital murder, arguing the killing occurred during the commission of kidnapping, making her eligible for the death penalty. The defense argued Parker suffered from frontal lobe syndrome, brain damage affecting her behavior and judgment. They also argued that Braxlynn was not legally born and alive at the time of the crime, and therefore a kidnapping had not occurred. The prosecution countered with a paramedic's testimony. Braxlynn's heartbeat had been restored before her death. The jury rejected the defense. But it was one moment during the trial that revealed everything anyone needed to know about Taylor Parker. She wore a face covering to court, printed with sunflowers, Reagan's favorite flower, the same flower that had been displayed at the wedding Taylor Parker had photographed. On October 3, 2022, Taylor Parker was convicted of capital murder. On November 9, 2022, she was sentenced to death. She became the 7th woman on death row in Texas, and the first woman in the state to receive a death sentence in 12 years. Reagan's mother stood before the court and called Parker an evil piece of flesh demon, condemned for murdering her daughter and stealing her baby. Parker showed no remorse. Parker appealed. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals rejected her appeal in November 2025. She appealed to the United States Supreme Court. On May 29, 2026, the Supreme Court denied her case. Taylor Parker remains on death row at the Patrick O'Daniel Unit in Gatesville, Texas. She is 33 years old. She has no execution date, but she will never walk free. Reagan's family has not been silent. Her mother Jessica and her sister Emily are now fighting for legislation that would allow medical professionals to warn people about women faking pregnancies, pointing to the privacy gaps that prevented doctors who knew Parker wasn't pregnant from revealing that information. Doctors could issue an internal alert, a code pink, to protect newborns in hospitals, but they could not warn Reagan. Kinley, Reagan's first daughter, is 8 years old now. Her family tells her every day what a good mama she had. Reagan's sister named her own daughter Michelle in her honor. She is remembered. Some cases close. The darkness never does. This has been Gone Cold. If this story stayed with you, it should.